The day my parents handed my sister the keys to my house, I was already standing in an empty kitchen that no longer belonged to me. I remember the sound first, the hollow echo of my footsteps against bare tile, the way even my breathing felt too loud without furniture to soften it. The house smelled like fresh paint and lemon cleaner, a stranger's version of my old life. 2 weeks earlier, I'd signed my name at a polished oak desk, slid a pen back toward a woman with kind eyes, and quietly sold the place my family thought was still mine. They didn't know yet. And standing there that morning, phone buzzing in my hand, I realized they were about to find out in the most humiliating way possible. My sister's name lit up the screen. "Why aren't you answering?" she said, already annoyed. "Mom and Dad are here. We're outside your house." I leaned against the counter, closed my eyes, and counted to 3. "Outside," I repeated. "Yes," she snapped. "Dad just gave me the keys. The spare set you gave Mom, remember? But the lock won't turn." That was the moment my stomach dropped. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, like an elevator sinking past the floor you expected. I could picture it perfectly. My father standing stiff and confused, my mother's mouth tight with disappointment, my sister tapping her foot like the world had personally inconvenienced her. "I sold it," I said quietly. There was a pause. Then a sharp laugh. "Stop joking," my sister said. "Open the door." "I sold the house 2 weeks ago," I repeated, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. The silence that followed felt heavier than shouting ever could. Before everything fell apart, my life had been ordinary in the way people rarely appreciate until it's gone. I was the older sibling, the responsible one, my parents liked to say. The one who moved out early, worked 2 jobs, saved carefully. I bought that house by myself at 32, a modest 3-bedroom with a creaky staircase and a maple tree out front that dropped leaves like copper coins every autumn. I painted the walls myself, burned dinners learning how to cook for one, and fixed the leaky faucet with YouTube tutorials and stubborn pride. My parents came over every Sunday for years. Mom would wipe down already clean counters. Dad would sit at the table, reading the paper like he owned the place. And my sister, 5 years younger, louder, always orbiting drama, treated the house like a hotel she could check into whenever life didn't go her way. At first, I didn't mind. Family is family, my mother always said. And I believed her. My sister never planned to stay long. That's what she said every time she arrived with another suitcase, another excuse. A breakup. A fight with a roommate. A temporary setback. She had a way of leaning into door frames, sighing loudly, waiting for someone else to offer solutions. "You're lucky," she'd tell me, glancing around my living room. "You've always had things easy." I used to swallow those words without comment, even though they tasted bitter. She didn't see the years I skipped vacations. The nights I cried in my car because I was too tired to climb the stairs. She didn't see the fear of checking my bank balance, or the loneliness that settled in after everyone went home. To my parents, though, she was fragile. And I was capable. That difference mattered more than I realized. Things started to feel off about 3 months before I sold the house. It wasn't one big moment. It was small things. My mother asking odd questions over dinner. "Have you thought about letting your sister stay longer?" My father suggesting I didn't really need all that space. Then there was the day I came home from work and found my sister's coat hanging by the door. She wasn't supposed to be there. She hadn't called. "Oh, Mom, let me in," she said breezily from the couch, feet on my coffee table. "She has a key, remember?" I did remember. I'd given my parents a spare years ago, for emergencies. Burst pipes. Locked doors. Not for casual drop-ins and quiet takeovers. Still, I said nothing. Because that's what I did. I kept the peace. The real crack came one evening when I overheard my parents talking in the kitchen, voices low but urgent. "She needs stability," my mother said. "She has stability," my father replied. "Her sister's house." I stood in the hallway, heart pounding, realizing they weren't discussing options. They were making plans. Plans that involved my life, my space, my future, without me. That night, I lay awake listening to the hum of the refrigerator, staring at the ceiling fan as it clicked unevenly, and I understood something painful but clarifying. In my family, my boundaries were optional. Selling the house wasn't revenge. It was survival. I didn't tell anyone. Not out of spite, but because I knew they wouldn't hear me. They would argue, guilt me, convince me I was selfish for wanting something that was mine. So I packed quietly, signed papers quietly, grieved quietly. And now, standing in that empty kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, I felt the weight of all that silence finally lifting. "Mom's crying," my sister said after a moment, her voice sharper now. "Dad says you had no right." I exhaled slowly. "I had every right," I said. "It was my house." Another pause. This one different. "What am I supposed to do now?" she asked. I looked around at the bare walls, the sunlight falling in unfamiliar patterns, and felt something close to calm settle in my chest. For the first time, that question wasn't mine to answer.